The first A on the top right-hand side is Asuna. For Alpha X as well, another A.
Sending out his probe very early. Goes for a low ground pylon. Feisty. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the other A, the man that goes under the best name in esports, Max Angel, Astrea. Okay, what is this? Are we gonna cannon rush?
I'm gonna find out pretty soon here. Looks like it is just a low ground gateway, perhaps expand.
Okay, but why is Astrea not walling off? Like, did he become strange, as in the Russian Proto Strange? Because he's like the only one who does it, that doesn't wall off. Maybe Astrea knows Asuna very well, and knows that Asuna is becoming a little maxi-paxi, where he likes to go for low ground wall offs at first. Like, maybe not necessarily one gate fast expand, but at least gateway on the low ground. Because of that, Astrea feels like he doesn't need a wall off, but I'm already surprised.
Yeah, I think that might be it. I was actually thinking about that earlier as well when MaxPax was playing. Like, why do you even need the wall off? But like you said, sometimes MaxPax just makes the one adept and still finds damage with it. So even then, I'm not sure if this is the best thing that could happen. Asuna's gonna start a sellout in case Astrea ends up blocking that base. But otherwise, things are pretty normal outside of the awkward openings.
Outside of everything being very different so far, things are pretty normal, guys.
You know, there's no surprises in terms of
Void Race.
Void Race.
Yep.
Okay.
Nothing is ever normal in NA. We are going to build some Void Race. You know, the funny thing is, I faced this strategy twice on this map the other day against a player that was actually ranked a bit below me on the ladder. First game, I didn't see it until I started making Stalkers, and I just ran them to the other side of the map, and then I won. I was like, cool. Second game, I was like, he's probably going to do it again. And I tried to hard counter it, and I actually lost. I made a Zealot, I made Stalkers, I tried to fight the battery. I built a pylon here myself if I would be Astrea, and I actually was in the same spawning location. And I'm like, lol, this is so funny. When I'm overreacting and I'm trying to really counter it, I lose. And when I didn't even scout it, I straight up win. So I'm actually kind of curious to see what Astrea is going to do. He is going for the 3 gateway. I actually think a better response is to go for Twilight Council. Just stay. If you just stay near your own nexus, the Void Race can never really get close, right? Because they have to be so far away from their own batteries. But if you're going to try to fight the batteries and the Void Race, yep, as a Zealot has already made his way into the main base. In a weird way, I kind of like this for Astrea.
Yeah, this Zealot did just kind of walk by the Stalkers though, so like it has no business killing 3 probes, maybe find a 4th, will find a 4th, a 5th, no! Alright, it will fall. But yeah, I mean, when we look at the setup now, it kind of explains everything that we were wondering about as well, right? Like Astrea probably knows that Asuna's likely to do something like this on this map, and that's why he doesn't go for the wall of either. It's not going to be under threat immediately from this Void Race. So yeah, I do like the position for Astrea, minus the fact that he lost 3 probes for no reason.
Yeah, that's a bit much. I mean, if Astrea would have a Twilight Council and Blink on the way, I'd be like, I'm really not that worried. But right now, it's just going to be awkward because it's going to be so hard for Astrea to ever kill a Void Ray. It shouldn't technically happen unless Asuna really makes a big boo-boo. It is important for Asuna, obviously, not to build too many batteries this far away because eventually there will be a way for Astrea to just kind of avoid these batteries altogether. It's a lot of Stalkers now at first, but I don't know, man. Void Rays and batteries are pretty good.
Yes, indeed. How do you feel about the robo transition here on the side of Asuna, Roddy?
It's wild, but I'm sure that he knows what he's doing, and he does this a lot more than I do, or anyone else at home, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
All right, we'll see if he's able to afford it. The robo will finish very, very soon here. He is saving up money for the first Immortal at least. He also somehow afforded another or 2 Stalkers. He has stopped at 23 workers. Astrea, though, confident enough to move on to this low ground here. And without that Immortal investment kicking in, Asuna doesn't really have much of a say in the matter. Not gonna have money for the next Void Ray either, and he's a little bit supply blocked now too.
Yep, lost already 2 pylons and 1 battery did not get cancelled, so these losses do really start adding up. I don't know though, like there is definitely potential still for Asuna, even if this feels awkward right now. Like his army is going to be very good against just Stalkers. And Astrea needs to be very, very careful. He is sending a couple of Stalkers to the other side of the map. Feels like he picked off a probe there. But no. Alright, and there is a battery though. Battery overcharge. Maybe you want to use it immediately. Ah, well done by Astrea. This is actually really sick.
Yeah, Asuna's just gonna try to stay out of range, but not concede the high ground to Astrea so that he doesn't get taxed again going up it, but one Void Ray will fall. The battery overcharge will save the rest of the Stalkers, except for one actually does end up going down, and Astrea already forced to pull some probes here. That is definitely the right call. One Void Ray very, very low on HP here, but Asuna, I mean, he's kind of doing this. I mean, there's not enough Stalkers here. The Void Ray still standing tall. The Immortal doing a lot more damage, and there's a second Immortal here now.
Yep, Astrea made a big mistake there, obviously walking away from battery overcharge. He does have all the Stalkers in the main base of Asuna, so this game is already going full NA. It's going to be probes and Stalkers against 2 Immortals and 1 Void Ray. That one final Void Ray is very important, actually, because it can kill probes for days, but it goes down. And that means that these Immortals are going to be in an awkward spot. Good job, though, by at least tucking them into the corner. The Stalkers of Astrea are going to down on all the probes of Asuna. Welcome to NA, cats.
Yeah, I mean, and Asuna actually has a bank, Roddy. I'm kind of liking the position for him if Astrea lets this drag on, but he's not gonna. And with the probes here, Astrea, perfect recall here. If he can capitalize and kill these Immortals right now, he will be in a good position, but the batteries obviously are gonna be out of range for saving those Immortals, only reaching potentially the Void Ray. So Asuna having to kill back to those batteries. A second Immortal will pop up in time.
Sentry is very smart. I actually think he should have waited to at least let one Immortal get up to the high ground. But at least pick up a Stalker, maybe the Void Ray. I mean, with 3 Immortals and a Void Ray, though, you could potentially win. But I guess Astrea has enough gas to warp in another Sentry. It's 10 probes against 2, and I say that like it's a very normal thing. And now Asuna actually goes for an Oracle, because Oracles deal extra damage against Sentries, I guess.
Yeah, and all 3 Force Shields have already been spent. Now Astrea trying to get a little bit of damage will pop the shield on the Immortal, so at least there's that going for him. A War Prism of all things is going to be the weapon of choice here for Asuna, so he will be able to bypass some of those Force Shields and potentially micro the Immortals, but that is kind of at the expense of another Immortal potentially. So what do you think is the trade-off there? Do you prefer the War Prism or the Immortal?
I think the War Prism is better, because with Immortals, you basically cannot win. You can only win if your opponent really messes up. With the War Prism, I guess there is some potential for you to potentially out-micro. The thing is, though, it's really annoying, because Immortal shooting at Sentries is not very good. And it's always going to happen. One Void Ray is going to take some damage there immediately. War Prism can take some damage too. Shield Battery is close to finishing up. This is still going to be pretty difficult for Astrea, but I do think it should be fine. Overcharge is available, cats.
Yes, indeed. The Immortals, however, with the War Prism as well, can continue to take advantage of those shield batteries. They can get kind of ferried over one by one to kind of heal up. I wouldn't mind that from Asuna if he wants to do that. There is an Observer as well available. The first Immortal will almost fall. Yeah, back to healing.
I mean, the 2 probe economy of Asuna is not really making this happen, so he is really on the clock, and I do think he's going to be forced to tap out here, as he's going to lose the Void Ray, lose the second Void Ray, and the Stalkers and 1 Zealot should be enough, even though there's a bit of War Prism micro, but 13 probes against 2. Astrea's got 6 times the economy that Asuna has right now.
Yeah, it's getting worse and worse for Asuna. He knows it. He's going to try to make something happen right here, right now. I mean, he does have the shield batteries to leverage for the shields, but now with the super shield battery on the side of Astrea, Asuna's just going to have to back away once again. And he's really running out of time. Astrea even confident enough to start probing again.
Yep. Immortals are going to try to pick off a Stalker, and they do find one. They may be able to one-shot 2 more. Oh my goodness, they do, but the War Prism dies, and that means that Asuna will probably die here. Because the only thing that's left is this Immortal. Well, it's beautiful. 2 probes, 1 army supply. That 1 army supply is the Observer. Observers can't fight. GG. I like that Astreas is laughing. He's like, yeah, NA playoffs, baby. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that is a pretty cool game to set the pace here. And we do see that Astrea was perhaps expecting something like this. I wonder how he came to expect this from Asuna. I wonder if this was something that Asuna showed throughout the group stages against other players. Because he did say that he was going to try to make something new type thing, like something wonky, or I don't remember the word that he used, but something wonky essentially against Astrea.
I mean, it's something that has been done for a while on Jagannatha in particular. People do like it. And yeah, I guess if your gateways are not at the ramp, it becomes a bit easier because then the void rays really have to fly very far away from the batteries. The thing is, though, the cheeses have faced all sort of responses. So they often still have a bit more experience in those games than you have. I was actually really surprised the first time that Astrea pulled probes. I thought he could have just blocked the path of the Immortals, and then the Immortals could have never gotten out. But the Immortals slipping to the low ground maybe made this game a bit more dicey than it should have been, but he had all the gas in the bank, so he was able to warp in 3 sentries. Also, when he sent his initial stalkers to the other side of the map, there was obviously one crucial mistake, and that is that he was paying attention to the stalkers on the top right, but he actually clicked them into the main, but there was a full wall off. So the stalkers then they do the stupid thing where they walk all the way to the right side, so they weren't actually shooting at the wall. And while he had battery overcharge active at home, he actually walked away from battery overcharge.
Oh, wow.
That's why he was losing units in the first place.
I see. Yeah. Do you feel like that was too many stalkers to send on the side of Astrea? Like maybe if he keeps a few more stalkers back at home, the defense is a little bit easier?
I was afraid of that at first, but then I was like, this is Astrea, let's see what he can do. And it actually worked out perfectly because he still had 3 gateways at home until he walked away from the battery overcharge. And that's when he started losing units because the battery was active, but it wasn't even a regular battery anymore. Like it was just still overcharged, just not actually in range to heal anything. And that's why I think the game became a bit more dicey than what it was. I'd say overall the counterattack was quite brilliant. Let's see what game 2 has in store for us. In the bottom right side, we are looking at the other A, also representing Alpha X, of course. This is Asuna.
We'll see who the Alpha in Alpha X is. In the bottom left-hand side, it's Astrea.
I like that, cats.
Yeah. The Alpha is usually like the protector of the tribe, of the animal, or whatever convention you have. Personally, I'd never want to be the Alpha, to be honest. I'm just chilling.
I think you're the Alpha of this cast, though.
No, you're the Alpha of this cast.
No, you're the Alpha of this cast.
Well, maybe neither of us is.
No,
But
it's Zombie Grub.
Zombie Grub is the Alpha all along. Yeah.
All right, Astrea did build his second pylon outside of his main, and Asuna is going to build another pylon near the main base of Astrea, perhaps expecting this is Blackburn. You're supposed to go for your pylon on the low ground and go for a 1-gate fast expand. And Astrea just said, nope, I ain't playing your game, mate. I know what you're good at, and I'm just going to force you to play slightly different games. That is a dangerous game to play, because I do stand by what I said, but I feel that the cheeses often have a lot more experience in all the weird scenarios than you do, as the veteran that wants to play normal but then plays a bit different. But
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Stargates this time around for both players, and Astrea once again tucking his production in his main, so not going to be exposed, and actually mirroring Asuna for the time being. Zealot for Zealot, Adept for Adept, Stargate for Stargate, and Asuna, I mean, will have shield batteries, but they're going to be super far away, even a much more difficult position to start than Jagannatha. So I like this forward pylon already.
what I do think is very important for Astrea is that one probe that's out on the map right now, I don't think he should ever lose it. Because there is a weird scenario where this becomes like a trade-off, right? Where you kind of get contained. And then I think it's very important to have the potential to warp in a Nexus somewhere on the map if you can do that. So I would really not like to see Astrea lose that probe. I don't know what Astrea's Zealot is up to, man. That's like the most random Zealot ever. It's like, sup, top left. Here I am.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, it's so difficult to read into this type of game because Astrea has probably studied some strange stuff that Asuna can do here. Yeah, I have no idea what the Zealot could possibly be looking for on that side of the map. But at least he has a Zealot out on the map that I assure you Asuna does not expect.
Well, Astrea has still not scouted the massive city that's currently going on. He does have a pylon in the main base of Asuna. Asuna is going to scout this pylon. He's like, hey, you tried to do this on Jagannatha as well. I think, how does Astrea not know yet that there is a pylon, a Stargate, a battery, another pylon, and a battery, and now a gateway going up in his natural?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, maybe he knows or he suspect that something like that could be happening, but I mean, the Void Raid's on the other side here, and that means Asuna is gonna get a very good start with his own Void Raid. The shield battery overcharge is gonna be taken down, but not the second Void Raid from Astrea is as timely as it could possibly be.
Could be game over because there's a Void Ray in the main base killing a buttload of workers. 8 probes have already gone down on the side of Asuna. Asuna's just going to try to end it, but Astrea has way more units. Unless Astrea takes a bad fight in range of the battery of Asuna, I don't see anything that Asuna could do. Asuna had no energy on the Nexus to recall. He does now, but maybe Asuna feels it's too late to recall. So he is just going to send it, Cats, with 3 Void Rays, 2 Adepts, and a Dream.
Yeah, he's gonna ship it. Let's see if he's able to do it. It's not looking very likely. One of the Void Rays of Asuna falls. The second one is to follow. And with this, Astrea will take a 2-0 lead.
Look at Astrea. He's having way too much fun playing these games. He's like, yep, this is happening. He's just smiling all around, smiling from ear to ear. Well done. Astrea didn't really see everything, but it did feel like he was countering it all along. And the decision to send your first Void Ray to the other side of the map seems insane to me, but it worked out in an absolutely marvelous manner. So who are we to say anything about it? It was game winning. And actually, I gotta say, a little bit unfortunate for Asuna, because he's got 2 Void Rays flying in range of that Stalker, and you think, this is a golden opportunity. So you go for it, you almost get it, but then the Void Ray pops with your opponent and there is battery overcharge. So you can't actually do anything. And then you're losing probes at home. You're like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
It was so close, right? If you give him an extra couple of seconds, then the battery goes down and all of a sudden it's 2 Void Rays. 1 second, there you go. Then it's 2 Void Rays against 1. And I mean, obviously, you don't need to be good at math for that one. So,
well, I do, but
yeah, I mean, it was really, really, really close. A very tight defense there from Astrea.
Astrea is playing a dangerous game if you look at it. Like the first game, he grabbed 7 out of the 11 stalkers he has, and he's like, I don't need these. I'll send them to the other side of the map. And you're like, whoa! But it worked out. Second game, he's being 1-base Void Ray Lint, and he's like, I've got a Void Ray. I could just defend in range of my batteries and play this game. Or I can grab my first Void Ray and send it to the other side of the map. Like, both decisions seem pretty crazy, but both of them worked out in a fantastic way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just defensively, I mean, with that battery, he would have done just fine, Astrea, right? But yeah, I mean, it ends up working out for him. Do you think that he ever knew what was going on, or was that a scouting type Void Ray as well?
No, like he must have known without knowing, just because I guess he did see that his opponent was on just 1 gateway, no nexus, and he also saw no Stargate. So I guess he just knows that Asuna is very, very fond of this build, and he doesn't even need to see it to know that it's happening. If nothing is happening at home, this must be happening on his side of the map, because Astrea's build is bonkers. Like 1 gate fast expand, or not 1 gate on the high ground, into 1-base Stargate, into sending a Void Ray to the other side of the map. Like, this is insanity if you go up against a 1-gate fast expand with a Phoenix or something, but obviously he did scout, so he knew that that wasn't happening.
Yes, indeed. Now it's gonna be Romanticide for potentially the final map of the day, if Astrea can close it out. Asuna, of course, his opponent is gonna have something to say about that. We are loading in right now, and Roddy, I mean, I don't think like we can read anything into the map, right?
Cannons.
Okay.
Cannons.
So we can. All right. Let's see it. I would love to see some cannons to end things here. It would be wonderful. And yeah, I think the man on the top left is going to be the one to pay attention to. But in the bottom right, first leading the series 2-0, it is for Alpha X Astrea.
And in the top left side, down 0-2 here in the upper bracket of the DreamHack Masters Winter NA 2021, it is Asuna.
Yeah, he dropped the pilot but didn't send the probe across, so I guess the Forge is going to be out of the question here from Asuna. It's just going to be a gateway, and then we are going to see escape.
I wanted cannons, Cats. I'm sorry.
I wanted cannons too.
This is actually not a bad map for it, because like obviously A cannoning at the ramp is pretty good on the Romance side, but you can also get the little pylon SimCity up behind the mineral line, and I will admit that I have lost a couple ladder points here and there to people building 4 pylons and a cannon behind my mineral line.
That definitely does happen, and it can be pretty annoying. And yeah, I actually live with a cannon rusher, and I'm friends with Fear Dragon. and they were actually talking about the new maps and sending each other cannon spots and stuff like that yesterday. So yeah, I mean, people really put a lot of effort into that sort of tactic.
Sick world we live in, cats.
Yeah.
Who's the cannon rusher that you live with?
Awesome Sauce. Yeah.
Awesome Sauce is a cannon rusher?
Oh, he's a huge cannon rusher, yeah. Grandmaster Protoss, but yeah, a lot of those points come from the cannon skill.
I love it. He's the Neeb lookalike, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Does he still look like
as
Neeb?
observer. The Neeb lookalike.
Yeah. He looked so much like Neeb in 2018. It was crazy, actually. A mirror image.
Yes, indeed. All right, we're gonna see 2 stalkers on one side, on the side of Astrea, 1 single stalker on the side of Asuna, who is gonna be dropping a Stargate in the face of Astrea. So Astrea getting all the information that he wants, that he needs. Asuna on the other side does drop the pylon to spot whatever units Astrea makes, if Astrea wants to show them.
The pylon is done, actually.
Is that a little bit mistimed then, you think, or?
I don't know. Maybe he wanted to fake Astrea that he was cannon rushing, but Astrea did have a probe on the other side of the map, right? So it's probably not going to fall for it. Whoa, Stargate got cancelled, and we go for a Twilight Council instead. And now we already have a pylon going up in the bottom left side. So, okay, it's not cannons, but it's definitely DTs.
It's definitely DTs, right? Like there's no other transition that makes sense here from this position. It is the complete opposite of Stargate. Of course, you never need any detection against Stargate. That is Asuna's robo. Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna go for DT drop in the main.
Nifty. Yeah, for a second I thought that was Astrea's robo, and I was like, oh crap.
No, this could
Astrea
work.
is gonna be going for Blink. It could very well
actually work. Like, especially now if you're Astrea and you run up this ramp and you have 2 stalkers and you run into Zealot and 2 stalkers, you're like, oh, he might be going for Void Race and. Okay, you obviously don't want to get too carried away here. Asuna with only 2 stalkers versus 3 stalkers, but still no detection on the way. I'm actually very worried with Astrea, mate. I think he's going to lose. Okay, he does drop a robo.
All right.
That's going to be a relatively close call. That robo is in range of the shield battery, and that means that the pylon is in range of shield battery too. What I would love to see here from Astrea is a second pylon power near that robo. I think that's kind of what he needs to be safe.
Yeah, we'll see if he chooses to do that. I mean, we'll see if he also gets an observer first. I imagine he would. He's been trying to gather information here from Asuna. Asuna will get a stalker kill for his troubles here on the other side of the map. But I really like the approach here, right? Like just denying a lot of information. There is a ramp leading to the natural base here of Asuna. And with that, Astrea has to keep guessing. There could be a nexus behind this.
If Astrea walks up the ramp one more time and he's going to see double battery, I think that's a very big tell. But yeah, I guess all focus on the Warp Prism that is now warping 3 Dark Templars. Observer is on the way. No energy available, by the way, for overcharge. Oh my goodness, no energy available.
No. He's done it. This pylon will fall. There's no way the Observer gets out. Asuna with 3 Dark Templars has done it. Astrea will GG. And Asuna. Astrea still laughing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he knows that this is a pretty ridiculous best of 5 up to this point. I told you, cats, if you're not sure, you'll always need to have that second pylon. You need a tasteless pylon to back up the Artelsis pylon. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
That would have been a game-winning pylon indeed. So, unfortunately for Astrea, who also had the robo as exposed as it could possibly be from the angle that Asuna came in at. So, a couple of unlucky decisions, perhaps. But Asuna does well to capitalize, did well to conceal as well the DTs. I mean, that was very difficult for Astrea to gather that information. So he's definitely playing a guessing game there.
You know, it would have really helped if the 3 stalkers of Astrea once would have been able to walk up the ramp and would have saw double battery. I think that would have been a big tell. But he never actually got there. He only saw single battery, so it could have been anything. Anyway, we're going to head into a very quick break, and after that, we'll be back with Game 4 between Asuna and Astrea.
And we are back. That was the final break. Actually, it's not. Maybe there's another break later on, but it's the final break before we resume the match. This is the final break. All right.
Yeah, we're done. So, we're done. No more break.
We are watching a crazy PvP between Asuna and Astrea, and Astrea leads 2-1.
Yep.
2-1. Okay.
Astrea leads 2-1. He's typing a little bit in the lobby, said ready. Can't believe that last game. I smelled the DTs also with a laughing face, and then Asuna was laughing, and obviously I started laughing too. I'm like, yeah, it's been one hell of a game. One hell of a best of 5 so far. I wouldn't say one hell of a game or one hell of a series, but like all 3 games were shorter than the amount of time that Denver was long distance mining with 5 drones. We're now in game 4.
Yes, indeed. All right, we are all loaded in. It's 2000 atmospheres. It is game 4, and in the top right-hand side of the map for Alpha X, it's Asuna.
The man who canceled his Stargate and went for the DTs and got the job done against this man who could smell the DTs but wasn't quite ready to save his Robo. He's still up to 1 though. It is Astrea.
Ooh, daring. This is the first gateway near the ramp that we've seen all day long, and that's a little bit actually funny because I would imagine that this location, the triangle third, is actually pretty decent for Void Race on this map.
Yeah, but maybe it takes a little bit too long for gateway units to actually keep the pylon and the batteries up, but there is a chance we're gonna see it one more time. Asuna will get a second gateway though, so it's kind of funny how this is the first time they both just play like normal Protoss cats.
Yeah, that is actually rather interesting that we're seeing this development here. As Asuna is for the first time dropping his 2 gateways. We'll see what he chooses to do to mix it up. He already has 1 probe here ready to drop a pylon, but we're not going to see anything just yet for a little while, right? Like there's no possibility of any tech. We might just see the pylon to confuse Astrea, or we might see tech down the line, but the Cybercore is nowhere near completion.
It feels like a good spot for a Stargate normally. This is where people build their Stargate and go for an Oracle, and then it's pretty hard to figure it out if you're Astrea. I don't know if Asuna is a proxy Oracle kind of guy though. The way that he has played so far, I want to say it's probably Twilight Council, but maybe he will just be normal and drop a Stargate.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Stargate for the time being, so very, very likely the Oracles. It's gonna be 2 Adepts on his side as well to be consistent with the gas intake and drop that Stargate in timely fashion. On the other side, it's going to be Astrea with 2 Stalkers.
Yeah. Now, Astrea has obviously scouted. He was in the main base. He checked every little corner of the main, and he's like, hey, a pylon is missing. So either you're really messing up your build, or a pylon is missing, and this probe is actually en route to find that Stargate already in the top left side. That's going to be a very big scout. I actually wonder if the Stalkers would run there immediately. Could he unpower the Stargate before the Oracle is out?
It seems like a very tight timing. I kind of want to say no. The Oracle's already begun. The Stalkers are going to be running. It will get spotted down, so that is nice. But with the Chrono Boost, I think the Oracle will definitely make it out. Astrea now has kind of a difficult decision to make, and his decision is going to be to move forward with these 2 Stalkers onto Asuna's territory.
A lot of potential with those 2 Stalkers, to be honest, because Asuna is only building a single Stalker, doesn't have a battery.
Ooh.
So that's going to be a bit tricky. But the Adept shade into the main base, so now it's not just the Oracle, it's also 2 Adepts that are going to find some economic damage here immediately. And this is not a bad start for Asuna at all, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's 5 probes already going down. Astrea, of course, on the other side, did pick up a pylon and could potentially threaten the second pylon, but he's not going to have too much time on what is going on. Astrea now with his own proxy pylon, maybe looking to siege down the line here, sending 2 additional Stalkers to the other side of the map while leaving 2 at a time to defend in his main base. So a very interesting approach here from Astrea, who is now dropping a Nexus, and now it all makes a little bit more sense. He seems to just want to contain Asuna.
Yep, seems like it's going to be a bit of gateway pressure into a contain. Oracle flies into the main, but gets shut down by these Stalkers immediately. Asuna has warped in a couple of Stalkers himself. He really wants to save his low ground pylon. But some things just don't want to be saved, guys. And that pylon was one of them.
Yeah, surprisingly, Asuna does get spotted with you. Oh, he supply blocked. I'm like, why isn't he making a second unit? And I'm surprised still that it is going to be a choice for the Void Ray and not a second Oracle, as this first Oracle is going to be wildly ineffective by itself.
Yeah. Maybe he feels that the Void Ray can help break the contain.
Yeah.
If you just rally the Void Ray towards your unnatural, then maybe you can prismatic align with some Stalkers and you can have a good time. Now, Asuna is already building a Dark Shrine again. Astrea smelled the DTs the last game, but he wasn't quite ready for it. If he would have had a battery overcharge, he would have been totally fine, by the way. Because then I mean, battery overcharge is good enough to at least keep the Pylon or the Robo alive long enough to out DPS the 3 Dark Templars, even though that is a lot of DPS. Astrea throws down a little hallucinated Phoenix Scout and he sees, alright, 2 gateways. Somehow I didn't see the batteries, which I'm really surprised by. Ran into the stasis by the looks of it. Wow, this Oracle is not that ineffective anymore, is it?
Yeah, it picks off 2 sentries. Actually, wonderful job there from Asuna with the stasis trap. And with the Void Ray coming home, I mean, he has 4 Stalkers to 3. He could even block this ramp as well. That's exactly what he's gonna do. So Astrea with a quick decision to go for the recall. Lovely moves there from Asuna.
Yep, Astrea has scouted the gateway and the pylon in the bottom right side. Wait, did the Dark Shrine get cancelled? Yeah, okay. Seems like Asuna cancelled the Dark Shrine and he just wants to go for Blink Stalkers. You know what I'm really surprised by is the probe count by Asuna. Even though he's been contained for a little while, that man has been building probes non-stop and he's actually 2 workers ahead, even though Astrea had this natural expand up and running for quite some time.
Yeah, and interestingly, the income is not too bad for Asuna for the time being. And when he does establish that base, it'll be nice. He still has potential with those DTs, and after the pickups on his side of the map, I mean, the game's kind of very playable for him. If not, I would say as far as even or something like that, right? Like if you cover the names, I think maybe I even like Asuna's position, or what do you think?
Yeah, he did cancel the Dark Shrine though, so there is no potential with DTs. But once you have Blink, you know, it's not too bad. Like, there's absolutely micro potential. I gotta say, though, Astrea's army does look feisty, and with the War Prism and the Immortal, maybe can make some magic happen. The Depths are gonna try to shade into the main base. Oracle flies into the main base again. It's gonna be a big stasis trap potentially, but Astrea is very quick to respond.
Yeah, but we'll still lose 5-6 workers. Yeah, and probably not a 7th with the shield battery being there, but 6 workers for a couple of Adepts again from Asuna. That puts him at a pretty hefty worker advantage, and now he's mining off of his natural base as well.
Yep. It feels that Astrea has been reading this as a 1 base all in for a little while. This hallucinated Phoenix Scout is very important, and it will give Astrea the confirmation that, well, my opponent is not 1 base at all. My opponent is actually expanded. Stalkers are going to try to catch up with that hallucinated Phoenix Scout. Astrea will probably move out immediately, right? With the Immortal, with the Prism, where he's like, whoa, a Forge? A saturated natural? What the hell? You've got more probes than me.
Yeah, is it too late to move out, or does he just have to go for it? I mean, he feels like he has to go for it. There's a 3rd Immortal also coming out. First, he looks to be wanting to clear the proxy gateway. Can't blame him for that.
It's never too late, cats. I would love to see Asuna start charge immediately, though, because a couple of Zealots are going to make the army of Astrea a lot weaker. There is charge. Good choice by Asuna. Yeah, this... I mean, before those probe kills in the natural, I was like, yeah, or the main. I was like, I don't know if I like it for Asuna. Now it absolutely looks promising, but he does still need to survive because Astrea does still have a way more powerful army.
And that is 3 Immortals. So would you warp in Zealots anyway just to soak up some damage if you're Asuna? I don't feel like the Blink Stalkers are going to cut it on defense. Should he have gone on the counter offense? Yeah, I don't know. What do you do if you're Asuna here?
Yeah, I think the counter offense is actually a pretty decent idea. Just try to run circles around your opponent. Sniping the Prism could absolutely discourage Astrea from making this attack. Just making Stalkers seems to be almost impossible because there's no shield battery to fall back to. I guess we can warp in Zealots, maybe 1-2 extra Stalkers, then pull Probes. Probes are pretty good against Immortals. I know it sounds stupid, but it's something.
Yeah, they are gonna overkill the probes. I mean, it does only take 2 Immortal shots, but maybe, you know, you're soaking up a couple of Immortal shots, a Stalker shot here and there. Big Blink, and actually will snipe the War Person like you were recommending. Here comes the Void Ray as well. It will make quick work of those Immortals. And with that, Asuna, a beautiful hold.
Yep, I saw him recall, and I was like, what is he even recalling? And I was like, oh, a Void Ray. I don't even know where the Void Ray was, to be totally honest with you, cats. But yeah, really sick holds. Forward Blink, picks up the War Prism immediately. And then suddenly those Immortals felt a little bit naked. Well done by Asuna. It is going to be a 3 base against 3 base game, but Asuna is the one with +1 done already. Much quicker charge as well. Definitely a playable game, to say the least. He is probably just ahead.
Yeah, that was great target fire. I did not think he was going to make it look that easy, but with the Void Ray, I mean, targeting onto the Immortals, Asuna does it. And with that hold, yeah, I would also like his position better. If you were to resume from replay, I would take his position every time, I think.
No, I'm with you. And I think even Astrea would, but Astrea is obviously very good. He has made a couple of miraculous comebacks in the past in DreamHack Masters. The craziest of them all was on an Eternal Empire game. I will never forget that one, but we'll see. As Blink is close to finishing up. Asuna started +2 there and then he changed his mind, which I'm really surprised by because I don't see how getting +2 is ever a bad choice. Maybe he just wants to get a couple Archons quickly.
Yeah, the cannon will get sniped here from Astrea. There is a couple Archons exactly on the way right now from Asuna, as well as additional infrastructure in the way of 3 gateways. Asuna's gonna blink on forward, maybe catch a Stalker here at the choke.
It's gonna be 9 gateways against 4 soon though. So Astrea doesn't just have a few more units, he's gonna have way more reinforcements. 9 gates against 4. I mean, battery overcharge is good, but it's going to have to be very, very good. And on top of that, Asuna is going to have 3 Archons, 2 of them already on the other side of the map. There is a chance he sends this to Game 5, cats. But DTs are out, and there is literally, I don't want to say literally no detection, because there is still that Oracle. No, the Oracle just died. Oh my goodness, the Oracle just died.
Yeah, there's literally no detection. That's actually really, really troublesome from Asuna, who otherwise is in a great position. I mean, he has Archons already ready for the charge slot transition of Astrea before he's even completed that. So things are looking good, except for the lack of detection. There are no DTs here at the front, though, for Astrea.
There's one near the cannon. It's chilling. Okay. And one other cannon is going to try to get lucky. If the DT doesn't go for the cannon, just goes for probes, it can still find quite a few kills. But I think now Asuna has to realize that the attack that he's planning cannot work. Because you know there are DTs and you have no detection here. He's still going to try because he's crazy. But Astrea has detection here and he's like, hey, I still don't see an observer. I don't see an Oracle.
Oh. Yeah, very aggressive blink forward there from Astrea. I mean, one DT wouldn't be able to gun down the entire army too fast, so it's still a little bit dangerous to blink like he did. This DT trying to look for damage on the way out will find 4 or 5 probes, but it will sacrifice its life for that purpose. And now another blink aggressively from Astrea, and Asuna making an observer at least, so that will be nice for him.
Like, Astrea should just let this Dark Templar attack, and that's finally what he does now. He's like, wait a minute, forward blink here by Asuna. The Zealots are going to make this a bit complicated for Astrea. The DT is trying to make the difference. Not a bad fight so far by our Chinese-American Protoss as he picks up the Immortal too, but Astrea is very, very good in these Blink Stalker games though.
Yeah, he has been kiting like a madman. The DT is still kind of taxing the army of Asuna as it moves on forward, and at this point it's going to be very difficult to disengage. The last Archon falls, and now the Cellar reinforcements are kind of here, but the Observer is still nowhere to be found. It's almost here, I believe. The Voider will most likely fall as well on the way out. The next Archon is being morphed. The Observer is on site. With that, the DT finally falls, but Astrea still has a little bit too much.
Yeah, Astrea still has more Blink Stalkers. Picks up that Archon too. Astrea with the forward blink. Asuna in a bit of trouble. He does have some Zealots showing up, so the Zealots are going to push the Stalkers of Astrea back. Man, that Dark Templar. How many swipes do you think the Dark Templar got off there?
A few too many, but they didn't seem to be killing anything, right? Because it's very difficult to kind of swipe the same unit twice.
Yeah, but it's still a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
If that Dark Templar was Tinder, it needs Tinder Pro at this point, cats. Out of swipes, for sure. 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Tinder Gold, I believe they call it. I digress.
Right, so I mean, Asuna also managed to situate his 4th base a little bit faster than Astrea, so he has that going for him. He's kept up in terms of workers, though arguably maybe he should have been a little bit further ahead given how much faster he's been to some of these nexuses.
Yeah, there are 2 probes following one of his probes in the natural, Asuna that is. It's not the biggest of a deal, of course, just 2 workers, but I'm kind of bothered by it, because it should be a fully saturated base. And every mineral does count in games like this, but it's fun that we actually get to see these guys play a normal game. Asuna is going to pick up this Observer. Well done. Astrea is working his way towards Shadow Strike though. Playing against Astrea and a bunch of DTs that are blinking across the map. Not pleasant.
A very scary prospect indeed. Astrea will match the bases of Asuna, so he's happy to kind of slow down this game to make it go further and later. Neither player really looking for a disruptor transition just yet.
Astrea just sharking around, looking for openings. Blinks forward here. Is going to pick off the battery. Maybe try to get a robo or something, or just go for the cannoneer. Getting the cannoneer is nice because he obviously knows that that is the detection that Asuna was relying on earlier. Kind of a random recall, just a couple of immortals, couple zealots, but it's good enough.
It's gonna be good enough indeed. A lot of zealots actually charging in from the side of Asuna, but the rest of his army is not following close enough, I think, to capitalize. Need some aggressive blinks here, and Astrea has used a lot of his blink here to micro rather than to escape, which could end up being a little bit difficult now because Asuna has found himself a cancel onto Astrea's 5th potential base. So that actually pans out really well, and Astrea needs a little bit more than just stalkers.
Yeah, he's transitioning into disruptors. He's got 2 on the way, plus 3 is close to finishing up, and he actually had some money in the bank. That's why I think that looked a little more dire than what it was supposed to be. But still, Asuna getting a cancel on that base is obviously something he can work with. I'm kind of concerned, Cats, because the army of Astrea is getting better and better, while Asuna's army is just brute force as one Nova goes forward, does not connect. But Asuna needs to find some real damage soon, otherwise he's just going to end up with a far inferior army.
Yeah, he's gonna section off half of his army, mostly the zealots, but they actually go into this choke where most of the army of Astrea is. Those zealots are gonna really struggle to disengage, and on the other side, he's trying to flank with the rest of his army. Oh! A very juicy disruptor shot, center mass of all of the army of Asuna, and you have to imagine, Kev, that that's gonna be it. Astrea with the 3-1 victory.